My name is Martine Zeuthen, and I have lived and worked in the Horn of Africa the last 15 years. I am an associate fellow of RUSI, which stands for Royal United Services Institute, which is a defense and security think tank. But I also work on a borderlands program called the Rizwanar, funded by the UK and the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I think what really stood out for me in the discussions around addressing security challenges is, of course, how many layers there are to these discussions, but also how we need to think about international actors and their interest in the different groups, in the different solutions, and in the political situation. So we can't, in our case for Somalia, we can't understand Shabab and what to do about them without recognizing the interest of the many international players.
Okay. My name is Christopher Hockey. I'm a senior research fellow with the Royal United Services Institute, based here in Nairobi. I work pretty much full-time on Kenya-Somalia-Ethiopia Borderlands project as the research lead. It's been great, this event today, bringing everyone together to talk about these things. I think the sort of think tank space in the region is growing rapidly, and the Horn is obviously at the core of that. In terms of pathways and future solutions, I think our session spoke a lot about the way that the extremism threat is evolving and how we might need to change our response, and we had some really excellent speakers. For me, the key thing towards dealing with violent extremism in the context of a reduced funding environment is better integration of initiatives, bringing together PCV approaches, PCV sensitivities and principles with military solutions, with broader development solutions, with government initiatives to strengthen social contracts, with communication solutions, and all of this needs to work better together. And I think that was only further evidenced by the discussions today.
Good afternoon. My name is Fabrice Muchiga, and I lead the Africa Peace Initiative. It has been great attending this conference, and I feel like there's been really a wealth of knowledge, great topics discussed today. However, I feel like there are two that deserve really attention and urgent attention, because we're living a hard time. It's so difficult. Conflict and tensions, the spillover, it's regional, it's almost everywhere now. There's no single country which is not affected. The first one is about armed groups. Now we have almost every country with an armed group. Some of them are state-sponsored. Some of them are just local groups within countries. And I think it's very important to build an understanding of how countries are dealing with this. And the second is really agreement. We're at the point where our countries have signed so many agreements in between them, within the East African community, the SADC, but also those globally facilitated. It's very important to come back and sit again and look at this agreement. What do they mean in terms of accountability? And with that, see how we can really give hope again to peace for our people in the region. Thank you.
My name is Akama Diorio. I work with the Institute for Security Studies in a program called ENACT. ENACT focuses on organized crime, and is an EU-funded program that focuses on addressing Africa's response to organized crime, where I'm the regional coordinator for an observatory on this. I'm also a senior lecturer at Egerton University. In addition, I'm also the associate director for the Center of Study of Terrorism, Extremism, and Radicalization at the Horn Institute. In my opinion, it is important to have a very country-specific approach to addressing the problem. Each of the countries have specific dynamics that contribute to perseverance and the embeddedness of conflict systems in the region. Take the example of Somalia, for instance. There are quite many stakeholders locally that have played a very critical role in addressing the security challenge of terrorism, extremism, radicalization, but also maritime crime. And key approach to this has been, in the case of Somalia, a consensual discussion at both the federal level and also at the federal and state level. And this will provide an amicable discussion between the governance levels that make decisions. Similarly, I think if you take the case of Ethiopia or Kenya or Uganda or other countries, the stakeholders in those countries have much more leeway in understanding how best to address these issues. The international partnership comes in facilitating and ensuring that the decisions that are made will make much more sense in the future.
My name is Janet Muthoni from the Australian High Commission. My views on peace and security in the region have evolved in a few ways. One is on the national interest that the various players that are involved in peace and security in the region are playing. We have the regional powers. We also have the middle powers that also have an interest, and of course the big powers, that is, for example, the US and China, that are playing in the critical minerals race in the region, and so on. Something else that has come out so strongly is the internal dynamics of each state, the issues of political legitimacy, for example, in Somalia and also in DRC. And I loved to get the perspectives that these conflicts are not generally coming from external players, but also because of internal issues. The other thing that has also come out strongly is that we need African-led solutions. These processes are still ongoing. It's not going to be an immediate process that we see, but we see the region is actively trying to involve itself in trying to solve some of these conflicts. And for example, Kenya is playing a big role because of its belief in democracy and also in stabilizing these countries because of its national interest, which is mainly economic and political stability in the region. Thank you.